Sub-Zero matchup charts. That is what we are here to talk about today. Now, in order to really talk about a Sub-Zero matchup chart, we will also need to talk about the cameo that Sub-Zero is using, because I do believe at least some variance in cameo picks is required to have the best matchups possible. Let's begin with the fun stuff. The stuff that feels good to say. Havoc winning matchup for Sub-Zero. And yeah, just to be sure it's clear how I'm doing this, winning means Sub-Zero wins that matchup. Even means it's even for Sub-Zero. And losing means that it's a bad matchup for Sub-Zero. I initially had this as like, 6-4s, 5-5s, 4-6s, but I don't really think there's any 3-7s or like definitely no 2-8s. This is overall a pretty well-balanced game. And at least for Sub-Zero, I don't think anything is that amazing or that terrible for him. So it's simple enough to say winning. So Havoc is largely regarded as a top tier character, if not the best character in the game. I think if we look at more recent tournament results, though, Havoc is not the best character in the game, but most would put him among the top 5, and definitely, like, no question, among the top 10. But pretty much any tier list I see has Havoc in the top 5. So it's a really big deal that Sub-Zero beats Havoc. Now, Sub-Zero always beat Havoc. It was always a nightmare for Havoc, just because Havoc does not have good movement options. Yes, the quasi dive kick that Havoc now has is good, but it doesn't let him get around the clone easily. His new armored sweep definitely helps him out a lot, because previously Havoc had nothing, nothing he could do if you were cloning in his face. But now he can do that low sweep, so that does give him a little bit more of an option. But the reason why it's overall bad for him is you can just play keep away against Havoc, and he's really got to come to you. And yeah, he's got some good buttons, like with back two, I want to say, that leaping punch, or his standing three, I want to say, where he disjointed kicks you. And those are definitely good range options, but you can just stay out of those ranges and be doing ice punch, covering any jump he might do with your cameo of choice, whether that's Scorpion or Sonya or Janet or whatever. And yeah, you can just lame him out. And the other amazing thing is his projectiles take time, and most characters can't capitalize on the time that Havoc takes to launch the projectile, because for most characters, the projectile spinning around Havoc means they can't do anything, but you can just slide right under it. So anytime Havoc's like, oh, okay, you're zoning me, I will set up my zoning and then use that to get in. No, you can just full slide punish Havoc. So playing a character that allows you to combo off that slide, like a Scorpion, like a Cyrax, like a Janet, like a Sonya, that's all going to be really useful to you. Also, if he is using his armored arm swing that's overhead, it's not actually an overhead, but he rips off his arm and does that. It's super slow. You've got time to do a forward one, see what he's doing, jump, and full combo punish. So again, that lower sweep he's got is good, but if he tries to use the multi-hitting armored as defense against you, can totally blow him up for that. And last thing that's really important to consider, a lot of people think that, of course, Havoc is scary because of the mix that Havoc has now that, again, he's got that launching low. But anytime you see Havoc going into one of those strings, that could go either way. And it's not before you see it, but as you see the next part coming out, armored launch. You can do your slide on reaction. You won't know if Havoc's doing the overhead or the low. I mean, maybe if you've got crazy reactions, you could see which one it's doing. You're more just recognizing Havoc is continuing the string. I will armored launch, and you will beat both the overhead and the low. So those both have gaps in them. So they're not really true mix-ups as long as you've got a bar. And because you're going to be laming him out, you will have a bar for that interaction. So Sub-Zero totally beats Havoc. I am, of course, assuming we're talking about two, equal level players that know the matchups well, know the gaps, know what to exploit. This is a winning matchup for Sub-Zero. And that's a really big deal because of the popularity of Havoc. Nitara, same deal. Winning matchup. Yes, I'm going through characters that a lot of people, talk about as being top tier characters. I think most agree. I mean, I should say not everybody, though, about Nitara. Some do put Nitara a little bit lower. I do think Nitara is quite good, though a lot of it depends on if she's fighting someone that can blow up the gaps that Farah creates. So we are, of course, talking about the best picks for each. So if we're, fighting against Havoc with Movado, that's the normal one you're going to see there, and then Nitara with Farah. I will say if Havoc switches to sub cameo, then life becomes harder for us because sub cameo lets people walk through our clones. So that's something we're always going to need to be aware of. But if somebody is playing Nitara, they're almost always going to be playing with Farah just because Farah complements Nitara so well. However, anytime that Nitara is trying to mix you with Farah, because the weakness of Nitara for so long was that she didn't really have good hit confirmable strings. And so what she's going to try to do is her sweeping loads like back 4, I want to say, or forward 1, which she can't really hit confirm. So she's got to just cancel immediately into Farah in those cases, right? A forward 1, she's going to cancel into the low Farah for the mix most likely, or with the back 4, back 3, I can't remember, for her sweeping load that's 2 hits. She's probably going to cancel into the overhead for Farah, and that's what creates some good mix-ups for her. But they all have gaps where Farah is concerned. So as soon as you see Farah running out on screen, immediately armored with your slide, and as long as you're playing a character cameo that lets you combo that slide, you're in business. You're good. The main reason, though, that we beat Nitara is for the same reason we beat Havoc, and that's the clone. The clone allows us to just put up this wall, then Nitara can struggle to get past. So you're going to want to jump and do the clone in the air, and then Nitara just doesn't really have any zoning she can do. So that's the thing. Like a lot of characters have zoning or teleports they can use to hit us or hurt us while we've got the clone up. But both Havoc and Nitara struggle against that clone. Havoc tries to use projectiles, but then we just full combo punish with slide. And Nitara just has to kind of hold it. Like, sure, she can do the blood ring call and then be shooting that, but that doesn't go full screen. So it's really not that scary. And if she starts doing that, then you can just armored slide through it, or you can be looking to jump over it and dive kick it. So I will say, when Nitara hits you, you explode. And to a similar degree, Havoc has good damage, but Nitara's damage is just off the charts. So yeah, you've got to play well. Like you can't make a lot of mistakes. But usually it's more going to be Nitara hanging herself because she's so used to being mobile and flying over the whole screen that as soon as you put some ice clones out there, she's not going to know what to do and she's going to run into them. So winning matchup, again, big deal because these are top characters that you'll see a decent amount of, though we're not seeing quite as much Nitara these days as we used to. Kenshi, winning matchup. I've played thousands of games against Kenshi. And don't get me wrong, Kenshi gets you in the corner, you're dead. Kenshi is like the best character in existence in the corner because just mix for days. It doesn't even need to mix you. It can just kill you with a continuous block string. It is insanity, all right? Yeah, that is scary as F, right? But the nice thing about Sub-Zero's new slide is meterlessly, if you hit them with the slide, you'll side switch and then you're immediately out of the corner. And that's where Kenshi really struggles with someone that he can't keep locked down. Now, some characters just never let Kenshi get them in the corner, and other characters that are good against Kenshi can escape the corner pretty well. And I would say Sub-Zero has some pretty good escape options because of that change to slide. Also, if you are using someone like Scorpion, you can often get out of the sandwich when it is mid-screen. Sento does have the ability to hit simultaneously with Kenshi, and that will break Scorpion, but then that creates a mind game of how soon you're using Scorpion or if you're using armor instead. Don't get me wrong, I do think there's certainly times where, Kenshi is just going to beat Sub-Zero and you're going to feel like this is not a winning matchup. But if you just play really, really lame, it is bad for Kenshi. And even though I really like the Scorpion pull, I actually think something like Sonya is better against Kenshi. And the reason for that is what you want to be able to do against Kenshi is lame Kenshi out, just like you're doing with these other characters. And Sonya's going to help with that with some projectiles or air coverage with the square wave. But you also want to be able to full combo punish the gaps that Kenshi has. Kenshi has a lot of gaps on his main screens, like forward 2-2, I want to say, where it's like that parallel to the gown sword swing that looks like swishes twice. Yeah, so swish, the technical term for it. But there's a gap in that. There's also lots of gaps with like where the sword is slamming down for you from the top. So a lot of the strings that Kenshi's going to use in the neutral have gaps. So you can just, as soon as you see that happening, full combo punish, as long as you're playing a character, again, that allows you to do that, which with the changes slide, almost any cameo lets you combo off of slide now. So you just armor launch right through that. The other big thing is as soon as Sento is out, yes, it's very scary, but a lot of people don't realize, I didn't realize for a while, that Kenshi has no armored wake up when Sento is out. So as long as you can push Kenshi away from Sento, he's screwed. And especially with someone like Sonya that lets you do free mix-ups in a 50-50s, elite combos, it's brutal for Kenshi. You just put him in a grinder. So really what you're waiting for is a moment where Kenshi calls Sento, you immediately punish with slide, and then you push him away from Sento, and then you're probably going to win the game. Now, sure, if the Kenshi's playing, something like Striker with the bombs, they're going to be using setups that it's a little bit harder for you to deal with, but you can often low profile the bombs with down 3, which allows you to get that pressure off, push him away. And that's the other big thing. Sub-Zero's combos create push and distance due to the nature of slide. And as soon as you can get Kenshi away from Sento, you can just maul Kenshi, especially if you've got some mix-ups like you would with Sonya. So with the right cameo pick, I do truly believe this is a winning matchup. If you don't believe me, you can check out just Meezy playing in tournaments with Sub-Zero Sonya and doing well against Kenshi, and specifically saying in the comments, I wanted to prove that Sub-Zero beats Kenshi. And I completely agree. I've thought this for quite some time. All right, so I've done a lot of, hey, we win and it's exciting as Sub-Zero. But what about, some other matchups that exist just to create some balance on this list? I do believe that Sub-Zero has some harder matchups. I think those harder matchups are relatively few, though. There's not too many. And I'm going to put one out here that might surprise people. Omni Man. Oh my God. I hate fighting against Omni Man. Now, this, of course, can seem weird to many people because most people would say that Omni Man is not a very strong character. And sure, that's fine. I'm fine to say that Omni Man is a lower tier in the rankings, but Omni Man exists in a space that Sub-Zero really has trouble covering, which is the upper far corner of the screen. He can just live there waiting for you to do something, and you really don't have too many options against that. Even if you're playing cameos that a lot of people say are Sub-Zero's best, like a Chameleon. Yes, if you've got Lina, you can do the air size, and that's nice. Yes, if they're close enough with Sonya, you can do square wave. But depending on the stance or the movement that Omni's doing, Omni can potentially just dodge that. Now, that can be scary because if Omni's also calling out Jax, then you feel like you got to do something as Jax is going to slam the ground. Now, don't get me wrong, you can hit Jax, but oftentimes when you're hitting Jax, then Omni's going to punish you for that. So you can definitely win in this matchup. I'm not saying that it's an impossible match by any stretch of the imagination. But characters that live in a particular space are harder for Sub-Zero to deal with. And I do believe this is a tougher matchup for Sub-Zero. Certain things that Sub-Zero has gotten over time are certainly useful. Being able to combo slide, for instance, with so many characters is great because there are a decent number of instances where Omni is doing slower strings to start that then have more explosive movement, and so you can see the beginning of those strings and punish them with slide, or just clone to do the punish, for instance. But usually a smart Omni Man is going to wait to see when your clone is on recharge and then be doing their strings, so you can counter punish that with your slide. But slide isn't as useful as it often is because, again, so often Omni Man is up in the air. So instead, you're going to need to get good at using clone in the air as like an air parry or jump 1-2 to catch him, stuff like that. Also, being able to jump kick into slide is very useful for those air-to-air interactions because jump kick often has priority over other jumping attacks. But again, I do believe Omni is a tough matchup for Sub. Oh, Quanchi. Again, it's just these weird low characters that I swear, Sub-Zero has trouble with. Don't get me wrong, maybe if I got to play against these characters as many times as I've got to play against Kenshi and Havoc, I wouldn't feel this way. But the armor that Quanchi puts on is problematic for Sub-Zero to deal with. And I say that because Sub-Zero, unlike some other characters, doesn't have very quick-hitting back-to-back moves, like moves that hit like really fast, one right after the other, that can break armor. Something like Kungla's standing 3 that hits twice, that breaks armor beautifully. Or Baraka is, of course, very well known for his ability to break armor, right? Like, you really just don't have something like that. Usually the way you're breaking armor is by hitting them and then cloning, and that's creating 2 hits back-to-back. But I find that can be tough to get against Quanchi because Quanchi isn't always doing something that moves him forward. he's usually doing his standing string that does the overhead hit, that like sort of leg from the sky second. So if you try to do a hit into clone, he'll punish you. And the other thing is he's got that damn back kick. So anytime you're doing a clone or even like a clone punch, he can just snag you all the time with that back kick. I do like being able to slide combo for sure, because oftentimes he is setting stuff up. But if he's got the portal up that gives him better projectiles, you got to be using an armored slide to get through that, which does cut your damage. So all in all, I usually do switch to Sub-Zero cameo to deal with this character, to deal with Quanchi, because that helps with some of the zoning. And even more importantly, the parry can help against that armored portal, because I am now doubting myself as I say this, but it's always been the case in MK games that even if somebody has like an armored move, you can do a frozen parry against this, because I'm all about the parries. So I'm nearly 100% sure that even if Quanchi has the armored portal up, the parry will work against it. But even if that is not true, I find that the parry works nicely against Quanchi, not just for the parry itself, but being able to throw yourself and then you are plus frames after that parry throw. So this is where Sub-Zero cameo turns you into a little icicle and then chucks you at the opponent. It looks ridiculous. I love it. I think it's amazing. And it puts you at plus frames. So the big problem against Quanchi is getting in, which is weird to say as a Sub-Zero player. We're not usually trying to get in like this. But Sub-Zero cameo lets you get in either by throwing you or, of course, just putting that ice shield on you. But you got to constantly beware of the back three. So I think the Sub-Zero cameo certainly helps in the Quanchi matchup, but it is not one that I personally love. Melina is really on the edge for me. I don't like that she's got a teleport. I don't really like any teleports when I'm playing Sub-Zero, because this allows her to get up to a degree on her wake up. This allows her, if she's really on point, to punish you. But similar to Havoc, her move that allows her to come at you quickly, her roll, and of course Havoc has a roll as well, we're really good at stopping. We're really good at stopping rolls with our clone, with our ice punch. So it's a tough matchup to talk about, because I think Melina has some really good options against us, but then I think we've got some decent options against her. I do think Melina is just a very, very strong character. I wish we could, up block her air ball, or that the clone would work against her air ball, but she just like shoots right through it. Her zoning is not the best though, and you can do some slide combos against her zoning, but she's also got the low size, so then you got to armor against that. The preference is always with slide to not have to use armor for the start of a slide combo. So characters that are doing higher projectiles, that's what's awesome. That's what's amazing. The characters that have projectiles that cover the screen, that becomes more problematic for us. I hesitate to say that it's a full-on losing matchup. I really think Lina is a strong character. I could be convinced to say that it's even as long as you're playing really carefully and just keeping in mind that teleport. She just does so much damage when she finally hits you. She's got some good mix-ups just with basic buttons, like her sweep leaving her plus, or of course her overhead kick that's double hitting. So she just has solid buttons. Plus, of course, her standing one is amazing. I mean, a lot of her mix-ups aren't true, but then she can also hit you quickly, so it's hard to armor on wake up against her, armor through things. Her big gaps, higher level players aren't doing. So, her big gap at the end of the string where she like leaps at you with two sides of her head. Okay, I mean, yeah, just up block that, you're fine. But if you're playing at somebody really good, they're not going to use that very often. So now I'm sort of wishing that I had a 5.5 to 4.5. Like, I think that Melina ever so slightly beats Sub-Zero. So I'm going to put her at the very end of your losing matchups. And I still think I hate Omni the most, so I'll keep Omni at the front of this. All right, continuing onward to, again, create some balance with this list. I think Noob, we are even with. Noob is a character that a lot of people are saying is really strong. I don't agree that this is a top 5 character. Yeah, Noob hits for some really good damage. Yeah, Noob's got some good options with some projectiles in the air and stuff that, other characters don't, especially if he's doing that shadow kick that's parallel to the ground, and he does that just slightly off the ground. That's got really good control of the screen for sure. And the setups are pretty good, but the setups aren't amazing. Like the setups you can get out of with armor or delay or, Scorpion cameo. So it's not as if the setup that Noob is doing is like Sento level setups or something like that. However, the shadow goes through our clone, which sucks for us, but a lot of the strings that Noob is going to do that create shadows, you can punish with a slide. And if you're playing again a Cammy, it lets you full combo punish. You can be hitting really strongly for a lot of damage, as I show in my recent run to God with Sub-Zero against Mighty Unjust's Noob. So yeah, I really do think this is a 5-5 matchup. I'm not just saying that. I'm saying that, from playing experience and playing, against Mighty Unjust's Noob. Obviously, I would love it if I also got to fight against Sonic Fox's Noob, so I can, make a better call about it. But I feel that matchup is very winnable for you. But also, of course, winnable for the opponent. Moving onward, I'm just going to start throwing stuff up here now. I'd say we beat Ghostface just because Ghostface struggles to get in, so we just to keep Ghostface away. Don't get me wrong, Ghostface is strong up close, but the clone really caused them problems. Ghostface can do the stab behind you, but that's not leading to some really big damage or anything. So you can keep Ghostface away from you without too much trouble. Reptile, we beat Reptile. Why do we beat Reptile? It's because Reptile's wake up sucks. Probably the worst wake up of the entire game. You can constantly pressure a Reptile and wake up. Just doing forward 1 into clone totally freezes his armored wake up. In addition, his major footsie string, the back 3, has a huge gap in it. You can do a full combo punish. And this does not need to be a guess. You can watch him do the second part of that string and then blow it up. Same reason Katana we get to blow up. Katana's main string where she does that stab and another hit has a huge gap in it. And when you're the type of character that can do armored punishes, yeah, those characters are going to have problems. Now, I will say these characters do have some annoying things to fight against. For instance, Reptile's projectile, if you try to do an ice clone punch, it's only going to take part of the projectile away and then you'll get hit. So you need to do an enhanced ice clone punch, or what's a lot better, you just want to jump over it and dive kick full combo punish, or just slide through it. So there are some adjustments we need to make against Reptile, and I've lost against good Reptile players, for sure. But I would say that's my fault if I'm losing against that good Reptile player, because really, if they're starting to use a lot of projectiles, just jump over it and dive kick it, all right? And if they're not using a lot of projectiles, just zone them out. And then if they try to pressure you, armor through their pressure. You can actually see a lot of good matchups of Sub-Zero versus Reptile on Honeybee's channel. Previously playing a lot against Lin Kuei Master. And this was even before the additional buffs that Sub-Zero has gotten, and Sub-Zero did well in that matchup. So I'd say as long as you are on point and know your options against Reptile, you should be winning. Katana is a harder win, for sure. But I do think we beat Katana because what does Katana want to do? Katana wants to zone you. Great, love it. I will slide combo full punish all day long. Or she wants to pressure you with her really good strings that have huge gaps that you can just armor through. Again, I've lost to Katanas. Katanas can play well. Jax can be annoying for sure. But overall, the 2 main game plans that she want to do, you can defeat. Also, her wake up is good. It can combo with somebody like Jax or Janet, right? But what you want to do is just walk up to her and then clone. Don't try to do the hit. Just walk up, clone, and when she does her little twirl in the air, she'll get frozen. Now, again, I'm sort of wishing I had the 0.5, so I would say these are perhaps a little bit harder to win, Reptile and Katana, because they do have some counterplay against you. And if Katana gets her low fan bomb thing going in the corner, oh my goodness, yes, that's a pain. But I would say we are over those. So that's why I'm keeping these closer to the end of the list. Whereas Havoc, as long as you know what you're doing, I expect you to beat Havoc every time. Even though Nara can make you explode, I would expect you to beat that. Though probably Ghostface is more up here. I think Ghostface is probably an easier win than Nara, just because Nara hits for so much freaking damage. But overall, these are winning matchups. Continuing onward, Li Mei, you beat. I just feel bad when I'm fighting a Li Mei, honestly. I think Li Mei is arguably the worst character in the game. Obviously, Carbon has been doing a lot. Oh my goodness, I love watching Carbon play. But you'll notice that it's really just that overhead. That's scary. Yeah, I mean, she's got some staggers if she gets close to you, but don't let her get close to you. If she could just combo off of her armor knee, oh my goodness, she would be so much better. All right, but she just can't. She just can't combo off the armor knee unless she's in the corner with Movado. When most people aren't going to play Movado, they're going to play Scorpion, especially now that people have realized you can get a throw combo with Li Mei. I do think that throw combo is moving her up. I need to try it some myself to see how hard it is to hit. But watching Carbon misses that throw combo. Rewind also, of course, plays a lot of Li Mei, but I haven't seen Rewind super consistent with that throw combo yet either. though I'm not the most up-to-date on streams. I think Rewind's been doing a lot with making videos about Ermac most recently. But at any rate, Lee May, yeah, I think you totally beat Lee May. I think it's even easier than Havoc just because she's not a very good character and she struggles to get in. Her, again, biggest claims to fame are the fact she can combo that like instant air overhead, now the throw combo, but which isn't super consistent, and of course her ability to punish a string. So it is true that you got to be careful because a lot of the strings that Sub-Zero has are -7, and she's one of the few characters that can punish it with her special move kick. But overall, just keep her away, hit her for big damage with slides. You can also slide under her projectiles. She's gonna like throw lanterns, throw projectiles, just full combo slide. Some of you might already be freaking out because look at how many winning matchups Sub-Zero has. Yeah, Sub-Zero is really good. To people saying that Sub-Zero is not really good, that's not true. Sub-Zero is very, very good. I would argue close to top 10, on the edge of top 10, maybe 11 or 12. And it's because of these matchups. So let's keep going though. A smoke is another one. I would expect you to win. Maybe here. I mean, if you're fighting Just Nasty or something like that, Just Nasty is amazingly good. But you can watch Button Masher beating Just Nasty. Of course, Button Masher switched to Havoc, which I find funny because I do think that Sub-Zero is a winning matchup against Smoke. And I'll tell you why. It's because Smoke wants to move forward and you put up a clone. Now, obviously, the fact that Smoke can do the vapors in the air, that does give Smoke a little bit more options. But really, Smoke's teleport is too slow in most cases to punish your clone. So you just put that clone up and you just made a terrible day for Smoke. Now, obviously, if Smoke can spend the whole match, invisible, doing the type of stuff that, what Big Daddy D did, I want to say, with Cyrax in the corner with the net, just like looping you forever. Obviously, that stuff is a pain, right? But for the most part, two players at equal level, you can just clone and that just shuts down so much of what Smoke wants to do. I don't think Ghostface has as many options. So that's why I'm putting Smoke a little bit further down because I have decided in the moment here to list them and how easy I think they are to beat. And, maybe an argument could be made that Smoke is further down this list, but I do really believe that Smoke is a winning matchup. Even with the buffs that Smoke got, Smoke still has a lot of gaps. Obviously, it's amazing now that his forward 4, which was kind of his best advancing normal besides his back 2. Yeah, I play some Smoke. Forward 4 for him where, he leaps and does a bunch of kicks. The fact that that now leaves you plus on the cancel, I mean, it always left you plus, but it leaves you more plus on the cancel or just leads to a full combo, that's amazing. But it's a lower damage full combo and you can just duck the forward 4. So obviously, if you're ducking the forward 4, now you're getting hit by the back 2, but, just clone and you'll hit either one. So I think if you're playing, sub, really patient, really careful, you will defeat it. The way you beat Smoke's armor, Smoke has pretty good armor, but you just, on his wake up, just do a stand jab and then block, and you can fully blow it up. All right, moving onward to some other people. Scorpion, very strong character. I think almost everyone would agree a top 5 character. I say we go even against Scorpion. The reason I say we go even against Scorpion is because anytime the person relies on Farah, you get to blow that up as long as you can combo off of your armored slide. So that really gives us some nice counterplay against Scorpion. Of course, Scorpion gets a full combo punish with the throw, but just tech in the direction that is that because he only gets it one way. Also, you can full combo punish spear. So a lot of Scorpions just in the neutral are going to toss out some spears, right? You've seen it. Hey, with slide, full combo punish that. That means they'll never use spear in neutral again. Scorpions are going to stay in the air a lot. Sub-Zero is really good in the air because you can do instant air clone, which will catch him, or jump 1-2 into a full combo punish. Jump 1-2 is so good for Sub-Zero. So Scorpion, I think, is really, really good, does a lot of damage, has a lot of control, but I think Sub-Zero has some good answers. I'm not going to say Sub-Zero beats Scorpion, just because, again, Scorpion has really good buttons, but even back 3, that Scorpion loves using back 3, so it's good to stay just a little bit in the air with Sub-Zero if you can. And keep in mind, you got a lot of options. So you can jump and then do a clone, and now you're no longer in the air. You can jump and then do a dive kick. Because in that kind of mid-screen range, Scorpion's going to try to use back 3. Of course, Scorpion also has 2-1, which is incredible. I also play Scorpion. But back 3 is great. But if you're airborne, you're going to full combo punish that with a dive kick. So I think Scorpion is super strong right now. But I also think we've got answers. So that's why it's a 5-5. Reiko. We totally beat Reiko. Reiko, I'd even put Reiko like here. I would expect you to beat Reiko pretty much every time, and Reiko doesn't have the explosive damage that somebody like Havoc does. Maybe Ghostface is even above Havoc on this, but I think for now it's enough to say this is a winning matchup. Why do we beat Reiko? Because, well, what does Reiko want to do? Reiko wants to throw stars at you. Cool. I'm gonna full punish you with a slide. You might say, oh, but old man, Reiko's just going to use his enhanced stars. Well, yeah, then you wait for Reiko to not have bar, and then you do the slide when he's throwing stars. All right. The other thing is Reiko wants to get kind of in the mid-screen range and do his big normals, right? So you just want to learn to stay slightly outside of that and punish the big normals. Or if you see that the Reiko really loves using down four, because I mean, down four is godlike, that's when you want to be in the air. You can full combo punish with the dive kick. I really like walking up to a Reiko. I like to used to do this with Homelander as well. And you walk up and then you jump forward an instant air dive kick. And if they block it, you're only slightly negative. And if they press a button because they're expecting you to keep moving in, you get a full combo punish. I actually did get to play Sonic Fox's Homelander, and I did that. And I hit his Homelander. It felt so good to combo him off of that. But at any rate, the point here is that yes, Havoc has amazing buttons, but you've got counterplay because you can full combo punish with slides or with dive kick. Also, of course, Reiko wants to get close to you and mix you. This is where I love having Scorpion Cameo because I am not scared of Reiko. On my wake up, I just use Scorpion Cameo and I pull back with the spear. Obviously, if he's got you in the corner, that's problematic, but now the new slide allows you to escape from the corner. So Reiko's mix-ups are not that scary. Plus, jumping is a good option into dive kick because that's going to beat out his command throw. So yeah, as long as you know what you're doing, I expect you to beat Reiko pretty much every time. Also, his wake up sucks. It's slow like Reptile's is. So because of that, I would say you can just keep pressuring him because as soon as you break his armor once, and again, all you have to do is after you slide, and you're ending pretty much all combos in slide, right? After slide, do forward one and then wait. If you see a flash, go ahead and do the motion. Well, you can already be doing the motion. Go ahead and press the button that will make clone come out, and then you'll break his armor. As soon as you've broken the armor once, they're generally going to stop armoring against you. Look at all these winning matchups that Sub-Zero has. Sure, some of them are a bit harder if Kenshi gets you in the corner, SOL. Reptile and Katana do have some answers, but your answers are stronger. I promise. I promise. All right, moving onward to other characters. So, Ermac is very good. Ermac's very good, but I still think it's even. I could be maybe convinced it's slightly losing just because of how amazing Ermac is. But if you think of the things that Ermac likes to do, Ermac is, I can't fully say stubby, right? Because obviously it's what, back two, which is where he like kind of pulls you forward with the souls. That's got some good range on it. It does. And also his like overhead slam has got some decent range. But where is Ermac? Ermac is in the air, right? And he's jumping in the air and then doing slams, for instance, because it's just a good projectile. You can dive kick over that, or you can armor through it with your slide. So you got an option with that. You can also use certain cameos to clip him out of the air, like Scorpion's Fire, Sonya Square Wave, stuff like that. Up close, again, he is going to be looking to get in that range to do that back sweep and then cancel, and then he becomes a monster, right? Because he's canceling in your face and pressing all these buttons. So if you can exist just like right outside of that, make him with that initial move, full combo punish with slide. You can also zone him a decent amount. He does have a teleport, but that teleport is slightly slower. So, if you're using Ice Ball, he's probably going to react to that. But if you're just doing Ice Cone Punch, probably not. Probably not going to react to that. Obviously, Ermac can hit you for insane damage. With Janet, oh my goodness, he's hitting you for like 50%. So yeah, that's bad. So I mean, I'm tempted to say a losing matchup just because of how good Ermac is. But honestly, I feel as if we can stay slightly outside those ranges, and if we're playing that more slide focus mentality, we can punish a lot of the stuff he's doing in a way that he's not used to characters being able to punish. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that one as even, though it is on the lower end for me. Moving onward to Teada. I mean, Teada we just beat just because Teada is not really that great. I mean, Teada just has huge gaps in those big whip strings that he's doing, so you can just armor straight through that. His buttons otherwise just really aren't that scary. It's not like he's got crazy mix. Yeah, I know there's setups with Sector and jumping over and then doing a kunai low and things like that. And so sure, he's going to exist somewhat in that space that I mentioned that was hard, which is the upper corner of the screen. But he's not doing that much to you. He's just throwing kunai, so just like jump, flawless block them, right? And then, you can throw projectiles like your Ice Ball is slow, so we can often catch him as he's landing, or you can be doing something like a far Scorpion Claw, so you're hitting with the flames, stuff like that. You can be using, the Katana version of, the Melina version of Chameleon with the size. You can be using Square Wave. So, he's not that great a character. I do think he's a little bit more annoying to fight against than, say, a Reiko, because he's jumping all over the place, and jumping is a little bit annoying. But he does hit for good damage, but only off of certain touches. So I would say that the damage isn't quite as scary as somebody like Havoc. But at any rate, it's a winning matchup just because your tools are just better overall. Moving onward to Cyrax, it's a winning matchup. It can be a little annoying, so I'll put it here just because, if Cyrax gets Cyrax things going, it's tough. But again, having Scorpion cameo, I can assist with getting away. But the main reason we beat Cyrax is Cyrax's buttons aren't that great. So Cyrax is keeping you, at a range where they want to get close. Well, I should say Cyrax is staying away from you and throwing bombs. Like that's what Cyrax is doing. And they're throwing the one that creates goop because they want to hit you with that and then teleport and full combo punish you. Right? Right? But every time they throw one of those, just slide. So these projectiles that are slow really give you the opportunity to react and slide and full combo punish. So that's why I'd say we would beat Cyrax, because just wait and then slide, full combo punish. So you do need to be using a cameo that lets you full combo punish off slides for sure. I will say once Cyrax gets Cyrax things going, it is certainly harder. Cyrax is good at shredding armor, for instance, but you just need to not let that happen. Like, just stay away. Use the fact that Cyrax's normals are really not that good and punish with slides or dive kicks or harass a little bit with your ice clone. Your ice clone punch will cancel out that bomb that she's throwing. By the way, if she starts setting up a lot of bombs under your feet and then is teleporting, just slide to get away. And that way you just swap sides and it's not that big a deal. Or just slide in reaction to Cyrax throwing the bombs. Moving onward, Sector I'm going to go ahead and say is even. I would say Sector's maybe around here, just because Scorpion can be pretty darn scary with some of those big buttons. And again, teleporting. It's always annoying when your opponent can teleport. Notice the theme here. Notice just these characters that teleport that have movement options over here. Again, Smoke's teleport is just too slow to generally be scary. Same thing with Takeda's teleport is too slow. But, and also same thing for Cyrax. Cyrax's teleport isn't super fast. But Sector's strings are just good. They just don't have gaps where you would expect them to have gaps. Also, Sector lives in that kind of upper portion of the screen, just shooting projectiles, and that's just freaking annoying for Sub-Zero to deal with. However, Sector is not hitting for huge damage. Otherwise, maybe I'd be putting, Sector down there. But, unlike Melina, which can hit you for, 50% when she tags you, Sector is usually not hitting for that super high damage. And I do feel like you can be waiting for when Sector's falling after using that air projectile and then full combo punish with an armored slide, or perhaps be using a cameo before that, like a Scorpion behind shooting fire. Beyond that, I would say that, again, because this is a character that wants to zone you, you've got some ability to counter zone by using the slide. If they're really good, though, at avoiding your slide, I would recommend switching to sub cameo. And then I feel it becomes a really honest match because they can't be using projectiles against you because you just put ice armor on. And then Sector does have some good advancing normals. And then you can just be using parry or clone against those. And also, again, there's a character that likes to live in the air. We like fighting characters who want to live in the air because our jump 1-2 is freaking amazing. Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage, I do think, is a harder matchup. I'll go ahead and say about right here, right there. And Johnny Cage sure has been nerfed over time, but it's still Johnny. Johnny still has the best mid in the whole freaking game. Johnny's pressure is insane. Yes, you can get good at, fuzzying the low into the overhead off of his 2-1-2 string, for instance. But it's just Johnny pressure. Johnny pressure is hard to deal with. I do think our life got better once we got the new sub cameo that allows you to use parry. So I think that's certainly good. That helps out for sure. But Johnny can maul you. Johnny can just get on you and be doing tons of damage. Plus, a lot of people, or a decent number of people, like using sub cameo with Johnny. And anytime I'm going to tell you this right now, somebody is using sub cameo, that is going to make your day bad as a Sub-Zero player because they can just walk right through your clones. So there is some good synergy for Johnny with Sub-Zero cameo because he does the freeze into the hype, into the big damage later. And as soon as he's got hype, oh my goodness, it's so hard to deal with. So you can beat Johnny. You can beat any of these characters. But I do think Johnny is a harder matchup, especially, once he gets you into the corner, his buttons are just so much faster. His mid is so good. You try to escape with a clone and he's just punching you already, or he's got Sub-Zero armor on, and so your clone doesn't matter. I will say a lot of Johnnies get into this mindset where they're like, I can just, hit you no matter what. So it's like, no problem. Like, I'm just going to run up and hit you. I'm going to jump kick you. So Johnny Cage is playing arrogantly. You can exploit. You can, meet them in the air, beat them with a 1-2, or use your clone against their jump kick as long as you time it correctly, especially if you jump in the air and then clone. So if Johnny Cage is just trying to jump on you all day long, you got this. You can beat this for sure. And also if Johnny Cage is trying to use, I want to say it's back 3, that big like sweeping half moon kick, and they get a little over eager with that. That has some good recovery on it for us, meaning it's got a lot of recovery, so we can whiff punish that with slide. So we do want to try to make Johnny commit to some bigger moves. But if they're playing smart, if they're just like walking you down and then using his amazing mid or his stagger strings and a plus frames, yeah, there's just a lot of guessing you've got to do on your part that I'm guessing he's going to use his string that starts with a high, so I'm going to neutral duck that and then stand up and full combo punish. And a lot of those guesses are just not in our favor. So that is why I do think Johnny is hard. I don't hate it that much. Like I hate fighting Omni or Quanchi so much more than I hate fighting Johnny. And I put Johnny and Melina about the same, though Melina's got that teleport. So actually, I'm going to do this. Melina's got that teleport, which you can just kind of ruin our day, and we can't break her armor as easily. Johnny Cage armor you can totally break, either by doing a safe jump setup and a punch and a clone, or just doing forward 1 into your slide to beat his armor. So yeah, I would say Johnny's still losing, but the easiest to beat out of are losing matchups. Oh, and if Johnny uses a Kungla low hat, I hate Kungla low hat just because it's just so good. It just stops your slides from working. So that's another reason Johnny can be tough because of that. Speaking of what's tough, Sindel. Sindel's a tough match. I want to put Sindel here. So part of this is just Sindel is so freaking good, right? Sindel, obviously, top 5 character. So scary with Tremor and the resets and everything. I will say that we can stay away and play kind of a zoning battle with her. But again, notice, where does she live? She lives in that upper corner, throwing projectiles. Much like Sector, I do think you can hit her with slide as she's landing, and also we can use Sub-Zero cameo to deal with her. Also, her armor you can totally break. So if she's waking up, just do forward 1 into clone, you will totally break her overhead armor flip kick, right? But her range on her specials is really good. I want to say it's back 1, which is her hair. Her sweep is really good range. Now, some of these you can certainly punish, and it's easier to punish with slide, so there is counterplay. But, once she hits you, her mixes or resets with Tremor or even with Kung Lao are really, really good. And she can work well with Sub-Zero cameo. So I find that if I beat a Sindel, it's because I managed to beat Sindel the first round. She switches to sub cameo, then I lose. Then I switch to sub cameo, then I win. So it's kind of like which one is forced to go to sub cameo first. So I do think sub cameo for us can work well against Sindel, but she is strong. She's strong for sure. Moving onward to let's go Baraka. I would say Baraka we beat. I don't love that Baraka can break our armor because having an armored launcher on wake up is really, really great. But Baraka wants to get in, right? And Baraka does not have a lot of great options to do that. His armor, where he slides across the ground, it's decent, but it doesn't lead to much. It doesn't lead to any sort of combo on his part. So he's just doing that to get next to you, which, Baraka next to you is scary. But you do have some options. If you read that he's not going to go for the armor break, you can duck his, high, or go ahead and do your armor, or do a clone real fast, and then he'll hit that because maybe he's doing his overhead kick or something like that. So his options to get in on you aren't great. His only other option is to jump in the air and to do his like aerial cartwheel spin, but it's pretty slow. So oftentimes you're going to be able to armor in response to that. His projectile is nice and high, so if you see him doing that, you can totally slide, full combo punish. Don't get me wrong, I've lost to some Barakas that get me in the corners, grind through my armor, grind through my options. It's frustrating. But overall, I would say this is a character that we beat, that we shouldn't be too scared of. Yes, if they get close to you and they shred your armor, that is harder to deal with. And especially if you're fighting online with a lag, it's hard to, block against the overhead low. Of course, we really should though, because it's not really a low. It's the second hit is the low of that like overhead kick, but just the way they animated it, it doesn't look like a low. You know what I'm talking about. And Baraka is just a strong character. I mean, we saw that at Evo, how strong Baraka is, and it's not like Baraka's weaker than Baraka used to be. Baraka is normally going to use not Sub-Zero cameo though, so that is in our favor, and you can really just lame Baraka out. Honestly, you could be putting Baraka much higher up here on this, like, I would expect to beat this character list. I do just find it annoying when Baraka goes through my armor. I hate that so freaking much. All right, moving onward to next characters. Ashura. I would say we go even with Ashura, maybe around here. Ashura, I think, is really strong. If not top 10, right on the edge. I think Ashura Movado is super strong. Yes, Serena, of course, it's fine, it's good. But the scary thing to me is the armored launchers that she gets off of Movado and all that, excessive damage. It is basically impossible to punish her armor. She has the best armor in the game. It's multi-hitting. She just gets away from stuff. However, I would say Severe is one of the few characters that can punish the end of that armor. So if she goes like far past you, most characters can't do anything about that. She'll recover and be able to block in time. A lot of characters would look to punish her, but we can slide. We can slide against that and get a full combo punish. So this is really how good are you at reacting to her overhead and low, and especially if it's online. Yeah, you're going to be guessing if she's doing the overhead and low, and that's hard. But we can more zone her, and then she's going to do her armor against our zoning, and then we're going to block that and full combo punish. So this is one where it's really a lot of adaptation that's happening back and forth. I think she's a super strong character, but we've got good options against her, and she's got good options against us. So that's why I'd put it at a 5-5. More recently, I've got a lot of matches against Ashura, which has been really helpful. Moving onward to Raiden. I'm going to go even with this, but I'm not that far. I would put it more like here. So the reason why it's even is teleport. Teleport's great. Also, Raiden has always been good with Sector. And yeah, Sector is freaking incredible now, if not broken, with the Fatal Blow and the glitches associated with that. But Raiden has some really good movement options with the teleport, so you can't just hide behind a clone and zoning. Also, Raiden's projectile, you can slide through. However, in a lot of cases, Raiden will be holding it and then get that second projectile that starts to surround it, and now you've got to armor through it, at least in certain cases. It depends like which of the other parts of that electricity have formed and if your slide will get connected by it. In some cases, though, you can still just regular slide. In fact, that's one thing I've been meaning to really lab. So my apologies if I'm wrong. It might be that even if he's got all 4 or 5 up, you can still just slide through it. In fact, I think you might be able to do that. So yeah, slide works well against it. But if he releases it, then your regular slide will not break it. So we could see you starting to slide, then he releases it. So that's not good for us. So I do recommend the armored slide to make sure you can get through it. If he releases it too soon, then he will hit you with 2 of his projectiles. So you get what I'm saying, right? That like there's counterplay. We can see him starting to do the projectile and charging it, immediately slide. But if we wait too long or he reacts well, his lightning, little balls are going to break our armor. So that's why I make it even, because there's options both ways. I hate that he can do his teleport to get around our clone, but his wake up his ass. His Superman is so terrible. You can just do forward 1-2, not even the clone, just forward 1-2, and he will fly over you. All right. Also in the corner, what does he want to do? He wants to escape. He wants to jump in the air, do Superman, get away. You can just jump clone and counter that, or jump 1-2. So yeah, Raiden's got counterplay against us, but we've got counterplay against him. His low string, amazing, but you can just instant air dive kick, full combo punish it. So I still believe that Raiden is quite good. Not everybody that I play with in my area believes this. I think Raiden's still super strong, solid mid-tier, if not even slightly above that, because of the strength of Sector these days and how well those two go together. But I think both Raiden and Sub-Zero have tech they can use against each other. General Shout, we beat. Why do we beat it? Because we can just zone him. I'd say probably more like here, something like that. Because yeah, General Shao has really good buttons, right? But he still doesn't have a good mid. Not really. I mean, yeah, he's got the single hit mid that if he's using a certain cameo, he can combo into. But yeah, you just run away. I mean, it's lame, yeah, but I mean, if we're just talking about do you win, yeah, you win, because you just put up clones that he can't go through, and you use Ice Clone Punch as your projectile, and you use some vapors to slowly chip out his incredibly high health if he's using certain cameos. But overall, you just run away. And then eventually he's going to get frustrated and make a mistake. A lot of times they're going to try to use that like axe slam, just do armored slide, full combo punish, or just jump over it, dive kick. So the hit and run style is what you got to do, because if you just try to zone, yeah, you're never going to get his life down enough, and then he's going to put you in the corner and life's going to be bad. So you're doing some zoning, and then when you tell the opponent's getting frustrated, then you go in and you do a quick hit, like a slide, like a dive kick, like punishing him when he's jumping in as he's getting desperate, that type of thing. But yeah, you can just totally keep General Shao away. It's also kind of obvious what his mix-ups are going to be because, when he doesn't have axe, the main mix-up he has is the overhead. His low option is not as good on that because he has to do low immediately into his knee, which if you block is punishable. So his mix-ups, you can, default to blocking against the overhead and be ready for that. Also, his wake up is trash. I mean, it's okay. It's good because it's fast. It's good for him to use in the neutral against like gaps and stuff. But it's terrible because it puts him high. So in the corner, you just do crouch three in a clone or just crouch three, and you will totally punish his armored wake up. So yeah, his armored wake up is just really, really bad. Yes, you can lose against a General Shao that gets on top of you and starts hitting you for damage, whatnot. But really and truly is if you control the pace, you keep him away, you're going to win this. Rain. Rain, I think, is a very strong character. Someone put him here in the middle. I'd probably put a noob over here because I do think noob is better, and maybe even noob like here because I do think noob is stronger than Rain is. They're similar in some ways, right? Because they're both using Janet, they're both getting throw combos, they both have good normals. Rain's normals are better overall because that down three, I want to say, is just so good. The overhead being, safe in a full combo is great, but he's got to be close for that. The thing is that we again can really just punish a lot of what Rain wants to do because Rain puts up the little bubble slide. Obviously, if you don't slide fast enough to be able to block, but basically, if he's waiting behind that, oftentimes you can clip with a slide. The other big thing he's going to do is do the float in the air into the ball of lightning, right? Now that one is annoying because again, he's existing in that space that we don't cover as well. But you can often call like a scorpion behind him or use Chameleon in the form of Melina, or use Sonya Square Wave, stuff like that, and you're going to be able to clip him out of the air. Or you wait for him to throw it and then you slide, and then you'll hit him out of it. Jumping and doing the dive kick doesn't work as well because his ball of lightning will hit you. You can jump in a clone though, and that'll often bait him into using it, and then you kind of return to neutral. The thing though is a lot of the big normals that Rain wants to use, you can dive kick over. So again, I do think Rain's a very strong character overall, just a solid character. Again, that low kick into cancels quite good, throw combos quite good, setting up the whirlpool quite good. But I think again we can have counterplay to a lot of that stuff. So that's why I would put that one. Even I would almost say I would win because I do beat most Rains I fight against. But I think more that's kind of they're not as familiar with that matchup, but they're just not as ready for the options that Slide provides, honestly. Moving onward to Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and put this one as even as well. I play a lot of Shang Tsung, and I think the character is quasi trash. Like I do think Shang Tsung is on the lower end of the spectrum. I play most of the cast. And I play most of the cast because I want to play Shang Tsung and transform into them. But the transforming just isn't great for Shang Tsung, so he's really just relying on projectiles. And a character that is relying on projectiles, what do? You just pick Sub-Zero Cameo. So honestly, if you pick Sub-Zero Cameo, you're going to ruin Shang Tsung's day. So just do that. Just pick Shang Tsung Cameo. Done. Yay. I'm sorry, pick Shang Tsung Cameo. Pick Sub-Zero Cameo against Shang Tsung. And you're normally going to be all right. However, it is true that in Old Man form, that totally punishes any clones you want to do up close. And the nature of the Old Man form with the ground eruptions is you can't really punish that with slide. So we prefer it when Shang Tsung is in young form because you can punish his regular projectiles, the ones that go parallel to the ground. We can punish that with slide, so it's fine. But usually they're going to switch to old form, and then they're going to do some ground projectiles, and that's a little bit more annoying, especially too because you try to jump in the air to dive kick it, but that ground eruption could still potentially hit you. I've also had some Shang Tsungs do some solid mix-ups in the corner, mixing up the fact that they could go into the low beta spikes at any point, because even if you're old form, you can transform into young. And now the fact that Shang Tsung can use the opponent's cameos, I'm often playing Scorpion, right? So they get to mix up now using Scorpion cameo against me for the overhead. So now they've got a mix up of a lower overhead, or even if I'm using Sonya, they get the leg grab, which is also an overhead. So the thing that's weird about Shang Tsung is they can use your standard cameo picks against you to actually get some solid mix-ups. So that is a good new move that Shang Tsung has. Even if you pick Sub-Zero cameo as Sub-Zero, that gives Shang Tsung a very good shoulder rush. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and put it even though I don't think that Shang Tsung is that great a character. And I want to say that Sub-Zero beats Shang Tsung because I think Sub-Zero is such a better character than Shang Tsung. But my matches in Combat League just don't reflect that. I go relatively even with Shang Tsung's. I beat a relatively even amount that I lose to. So that tells me that something's there, right? Like Shang Tsung's got options that are getting me, and I'm going to attribute it mainly to the low eruption, making it hard for you to slide punish, whether or dive kick punish, and the fact he's transforming into my cameos to give him 50-50s. So that's why I put him around there. As long as you're playing against, a really solid, strong Shang Tsung. Homelander is interesting because obviously Homelander was broken and Homelander beat just about everybody. But Sub-Zero has good tools against Homelander. Sub-Zero, can you do the clone in the air, which is going to stop the, rush that, the dive that Homelander has. The sweeping laser that used to be a low is still a very good tool, but you can dive kick over it or even punish it with slide. Homelander is still very strong, right? I think most people agree that, Homelander obviously got nerfed, but is still a relevant character. You can still see this character being picked in tournament, and there's a reason for it. Still does very strong meterless damage, still has good zoning, has a lot of aerial options, and of course, Farah pairs beautifully with Homelander, allowing you some safety on his otherwise trash armored move, and also, of course, allowing for combos off of his dash command grab, which is freaking amazing, right? So Homelander still is a very strong character. Actually, I had to beat a Homelander to get to God rank, and it felt good to win. But I do think this is one where, again, he has tools against us, and we have tools against him. I could potentially even be convinced that it is a winning matchup for Sub-Zero because of the nerf to the low and him not having as many mix-ups as he used to. Also, previously Armored Slide didn't work well against his float. Previously Armored Slide hit really weird and you couldn't combo off of it. But now that you can hold Armored Slide with Sub-Zero to get the stab, the spear stab, that will catch him and you can full combo punish. So I could be convinced seriously that maybe it's even here. I really need more matchups against higher level Homelanders to say for sure. So for now, I'm going to go and say it's even, but I do think it potentially could be winning because he wants to get close to us. Yeah, he can fly in the air and do lasers, but then we slide, land underneath him, and then we've got usually better options than he does. So, I mean, I do think at this stage we counter more of what he does, but I can't say entirely for sure. But it would not be a surprise to me if I ended up pushing that to a winning matchup. But I don't want to talk crazy. You probably already think I'm crazy with a lot of these. Kung Lao is similar to this. Obviously, a lot of people thought Kung Lao was going to be total ass with the removal of his safe armor and thinking that his air projectile just wasn't going to do anything for him. But obviously, online kill has changed a lot of that opinion. Now we're seeing a lot more people play Kung Lao Sector. I mean, Sector is just crazy strong, right? But the fact that Kung Lao does have that low sweep, which is really good, and that overhead with a hat. The overhead hat is normally trash, really bad, but with the missile coming down, it's become good because that makes it safe. It allows it to combo. And the reason I say it's bad is I've played Kung Lao. I think Kung Lao is actually one of the fastest characters you can pick up. So if you're a little interested in playing Kung Lao, give it a shot. He's a lot of fun, especially with Sector. But normally that overhead where he like swings his hat down on you, even if he was to cancel into his like kick lift and then try to get away with a dive kick, you can just punch him out of that. So his overhead options previously weren't that great, but he doesn't need it. He just gets to nickel and dime you, run away. He's the premier hit and run character right now. So he's running away, throwing hats at you, and then immediately rushing back in and doing a dive kick just to get near you, and then doing overhead or the sweep or just doing standing three to armor break. And so he's got some really good mobility. You can just go in and out and mix you up with these things that aren't doing tons of damage, but still do damage. However, I don't think he beats us because when he wants to get in with dive kick, clone is good against that. Also, his 50-50 strings, where he does that like kick that kind of hits your knees and then goes into an overhead or goes into a low, we can just armor right through that. Obviously, we need to be mindful of the fact that he's got good armor breaks with standing three. But I think as long as you're careful about it, you'll be good. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put him more over here, honestly, because I'm much more scared when I'm working harder, when I'm fighting a Scorpion or an Ashra or an Ermac, even maybe here, I would say, because the dive kick doesn't lead to very much. Well, maybe here even. No, I think noob is a little bit easier. I'm a little bit more annoyed when I fight a Kung Lao, but of course Kung Lao isn't doing the damage a noob does. Yeah, I feel that one could go either way in terms of exactly how difficult it is. But when he's looking to get on us, again, we've got good aerial options for people that are coming in on us in the air. And he's got to spend a meter to get a full combo with his dive kick, whereas somebody like Homelander doesn't need to spend a meter to get that full combo from that aerial option. Garrus became a lot stronger more recently, but I do still think it's a winning matchup. I'd say probably around here-ish. I fought against Burrito Voorhees. Garrus won. I'm not saying that, as props to myself or anything. I'm just saying that I use my matchup experience to rate this matchup chart, right? Obviously. And I do think that the fact that Sub-Zero has a lot of gaps in his combos give opportunities for Garrus to get away, but oftentimes those opportunities don't hit Sub-Zero. So the opponent tries to get away using Garrus's rewind, but then we get to keep doing our combos. Also, the sands. So, Garrus is going to try to zone you a little bit using like that sand cyclone. At most ranges, we can full combo punish with slide. Garrus is also going to try to walk up and use back four to do like the sand sweep. We can just instant air dive kick that. Now his overhead is amazing. His overhead is great. But if you block it, you can full combo punish it with slide. You can also, dash up and, do a string, but oftentimes a good Garrus is going to be hitting you with the tip of the foot when doing the overhead, but you can still full combo punish it with slide. Now, a really strong Garrus player is super scary, especially now that they get a full combo with the overhead, they get a full combo with command grabs, but Sub-Zero likes to live in the air, so it's fine to be jumping a lot against a Garrus and doing your instant air dive kick, because that's going to beat regular throws and it's going to beat the command throws. Plus, there's a lot of gaps in Garrus's strings, so you can armor through them. Now, the reason I'm putting Garrus where I am is because I don't have all those gaps as perfectly memorized, and I do find that I get hit by that overhead, and his time stop is annoying. When he's got all that charge, if you're trying to clone or even ice punch, he can just time stop on you and get a full combo. But he's only going to get around 30% and then reset things for himself. So it's not, insanely scary. But, Garrus is good. Garrus is good. I don't think Garrus, became top tier like some people were thinking it might be. I've actually played a lot of Garrus. I like Garrus a lot. But it's harder to win with him than with someone like Sub-Zero for sure. And I would say Sub-Zero ends up having more strengths against Garrus as long as you're playing carefully. Peacemaker, nobody plays this character much. It's so hard for me to say. Peacemaker is probably the character, and maybe Tanya, who I fight the least. I'm gonna say here about it, mainly because Peacemaker. I'm gonna go more here. Ghostface and Peacemaker, I really need more matchup experience against. So Havoc, I'm expecting to definitely win. Teada, I'm expecting to win. And maybe Teada is even actually more annoying than Havoc is, honestly. Reiko, Lina, all those, again, I fight them, I just feel bad for the person. I'm sorry that you have to play this matchup right now. Ghostface, I don't really know the frames or anything, but I just keep them away and it's fine. Peacemaker, you can't just keep away, right? Because Peacemaker has ways of getting in on you, like that aerial teleport, which, oh my goodness, I don't know why they designed it the way they did. It's so annoying, all the options he's got over that aerial teleport. But it's not fast enough. It's punishing your clone. It's just letting him move around the screen. But the fact that Eagly isn't as powerful as it used to be, the fact that his damage isn't as insane as it used to be, in a lot of cases, you can just punish the zoning that he's trying to do to you by using the slide. Now, obviously, if he's using Eagly, you can't use a regular slide. You're going to have to use an armored slide, but that's okay. Also, his buttons aren't amazing, so oftentimes he's going to need to whiff his strings a little bit, punish that with a dive kick or a slide, or just even a down 3 into 2-1, or even just 2-1. So, the Peacemakers I fight, they do annoy me for sure. I'm like, you're teleporting around and you're hitting me every now and then with Eagly and stuff, but the damage isn't that high anymore, and I can usually just slide to get in and then, start what I'm going to do. His armor used to be obviously insane, especially with Chameleon, fan lifting him out of it all the time. But the fact that it just flies over you, A lot of people can't deal with that, but Sub can, because even if it flies over, you just slide and get the punish at most ranges. So, again, I really would need to play lots and lots of matches against Peacemaker to say exactly for sure where we're ranked. So I'm just going to put it somewhere in the middle of a winning matchup. We beat Peacemaker just because we are a better character than Peacemaker, and we've got some good options against what Peacemaker wants to do. Tanya, I'd say this is even. I think Tanya is really, really good. I've seen people put Tanya at the bottom of their tier list, and it cracks me up. They put like Tanya and like Sub-Zero there. I'm like, what is this? I play a lot of Tanya, and here's the thing. I think people maybe were not enthralled with Tanya's design in this one, like they were with MKX, for instance, right? Um, and they ended up playing Tanya just because the play style they liked. They liked being able to turn their brains off and do an armored launcher that was just safe, right? Similar to Kung Lao. And I'm not trying to throw shade here, or maybe just a little bit at Tanya players from back, but I just noticed a lot of you Tanya players, you left, you stopped as soon as you lost your safe armored launcher. And Tanya is so much more than a safe armor launcher. Her normals are freaking incredible. Her air control with back two is insane. Her standing 3 on the ground, which you can potentially hit confirm into a full combo, even if you don't have your stuff charged, is great. The fact that stuff charges slower, sure, but it allows you to amp your various moves into really cool stuff. Like, we are not seeing any of the awesome stuff with Tanya. Like, every now and then I'll fight like a Tanya Sonya, and I play a lot of Tanya Scorpion, but either of those work really well. You still get an armor launcher, by the way, and it's amazing. So Tanya is so strong and so overlooked. Previously, I would have said that Sub-Zero and Tanya were like the strongest but most overlooked characters. Because when the game first dropped, people were like, Tanya sucks, her damage sucks. And it took a while for people to realize, oh wait, with Goro, she's, incredible, right? But then Goro got nerfed, she got nerfed, and now like she's trash, right? But she was always good, and not just because of the armor. Her normals are so safe. Everything she does, she's like at -1, -2. Previously, Johnny used to be able to parry in between her main forward 2 string. It can't now. The parry was nerfed, so it's not as fast. She is so solid. She is she is like the definition to me of a super solid character, where she gets to do things that will give her good rewards, not insane rewards, but good rewards with very low risk. She is like the lowest risk character there is. She breaks armor with her back 3 string. This character is amazing. This character is absolutely amazing. So if someone knows that and is playing her well, heck yeah, it's an even matchup, because she is such a good freaking character, and she's got good options against us. Oftentimes you're going to want to try to stagger strings and then get away. It's hard to get away from her because her normals are so long. The gaps in our strings, she can armor through and get a full combo punish against. She has good anti-air control, so you try to go in the air and do dive kicks, she can just do back 2, full combo punish you. She can shred your armor potentially with back 3, though that one I would really need to check because our slide is fast, so she may not be able to shred that armor specifically, actually. But she still has a lot of good counterplay against us. However, Sub-Zero is a very strong character, in my opinion, and she's going to want to do some zoning against you, and you can full combo punish that with slide whenever she's looking to do zoning, as long as she is not doing an enhanced fireball. But if she starts getting in the air, then it gets a little tricky. You're going to need to time that right, use a cameo, because her jump in the air, instant air, like enhanced fireball and a full combo is so good, such a good option for her to have. It is meter intensive, but it is a little tricky for us to deal with. So yeah, I would say she's amazing, she's great, but we're also really good. So even matchup with the person who really knows what they're doing. Liu Kang, I'm torn on Liu Kang, because part of me just wants to say that we beat Liu Kang, right? Because I do. I pretty much always beat Liu Kangs when I fight them. But I think we can all agree Liu Kang's super solid. I would say that Liu Kang and Tanya are like the two like just crazy solid characters. And the reason why Liu Kang is so solid is because if you're playing Motaro, you're getting full combo punishes. I mean, you're getting full combo off of his throw, which is amazing, and it's good damage. And the thing that Motaro is giving you now, which is just insane, is you can do Liu Kang's regular like flying kick, but in MK1, the flying kick is preceded by this fiery dragon, right? This red dragon. And so if you time it right, you can hit the person with a red dragon, teleports, it's like an orangish red, teleport, and then still get a full combo. So you're getting these full screen combos. I would say Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, and Ashura are the 3 main characters where you've got these like full screen combo options that are amazingly good. Now you can duck Liu Kang, so that's not as good. But the reason I would say that I often beat Liu Kang is because his normals are a bit stubby. Yeah, if he gets close to you, it's scary, but he's going to go for that throw a lot. So again, jumping back, instant air dive kick, pretty good option because it beats the throw, and it can also beat staggers that he might be doing. And his projectiles aren't amazing. So projectiles he's going to be using are mainly the low Dragon Flame, but you can just slide full combo punch that as long as it's an armored slide you're doing, or you can dive kick it. I've got a lot of success dive kicking that. Also, his regular projectile you can slide underneath as long as you haven't enhanced it. And his air fireball is good, but it's not amazing. Like, it's not hitting at an angle. So a lot of Liu Kangs are going to try to zone you. And Sub-Zero, for the most part, is a good counter zoner. So I'm gonna keep this here. I do think as long as you're playing solid, as long as you're playing careful, you will beat Liu Kang. I think Liu Kang is like right at that edge of being a 5-5 because Liu Kang, once he's on you, it's tough. It's like a Johnny being on you, but not quite as scary. And it's also hard when he uses his thing where he slides on the ground and then explodes upward. That's a really good anti-air if you're trying to go in on him. But you can just change your aerial trajectory by using clone to switch it or even enhanced dive kick to switch it. So again, just going off my results, I would say I normally beat Liu Kang, but I'm putting here at the end because I do think if I was playing against someone who was incredibly good with Liu Kang, and I have a couple times, I do think that matchup would be closer to even, if not truly even. So the main two that I'm on the edge about are really Liu Kang and Homelander, honestly. And then I just need more information about Ghostface and Peacemaker, which I'll never get because no one's going to play Peacemaker. Sub-Zero is a total losing matchup for me. I swear I hate fighting against Sub-Zero because Sub-Zero's clone totally shuts down Slide. Oh, I hate it. So if you are using Sub-Zero with like Cyrax or Sub-Zero with Scorpion or with Janet, Sub-Zero is going to give you problems. I'm like serious about this. I know you might think it's like a meme that I'm putting Sub-Zero here, but seriously, if you are playing a slide-focused Sub-Zero game plan, Sub-Zero is going to beat you. A Sub-Zero Chameleon, a Sub-Zero Serena maybe, is going to defeat you because the clone is just going to completely shut down what you're doing. In which case, I always switch to Sub-Cameo. And if you switch to Sub-Cameo, okay, now I feel like it's a winning matchup because you just walk through the Sub-Zero clones, and then maybe they switch to Sub-Zero Cameo. But seriously, fighting against Sub-Zero, a lot of it does depend on the cameo you're using. And overall, I would say this depends on the cameo you're using. The main times that you're going to be switching to a different cameo is when you have an even or losing matchup, just by the way. So everything I've got is a winning matchup. This is all with a slide-focused gameplay. You're playing, again, like a Scorpion, a Cyrax, a Janet. Even a Sonya works out well with these, like I said, against Kenshi for that mix once Sento is out. The even matchups, maybe you're switching a little bit here and there. Maybe you're going to a sub-cameo, or I've seen, for instance, Chameleon work well against like Sindel. I would say mainly you're switching here. Like mainly the times I am switching to a Sub-Zero cameo is against Omni Man Jax, Quanchi, Sindel, not so much against Lina, and then against Johnny Cage. But as you can see here, I would say Sub-Zero obviously has many more winning matchups than he has losing matchups, and actually has more winning matchups than he has even matchups. And like I said, I could even maybe be convinced to put Homelander up some if I just got to grind some of these matches more, maybe even Sector up to a winning match, maybe even Raiden up to a winning match. But I sort of doubt that because again, that teleport that Raiden has is just so good. Anyway, I've talked long enough about this, but here is what I would say is Sub-Zero's current matchup chart using a slide-focused gameplay, and I still believe most of the stuff will hold true, even if you were using a Chameleon. Don't use Serena. Don't do it. But even if you're using a Chameleon, this would be the same. And if you're using Cyrax, it's the same. I know Cyrax people are loving right now. Sonya, it would be the same. And I hope this has maybe made you go, old man FGC is crazy. He has no idea what he's talking about. But I hope it's also made you go, wait, maybe there's something about some of these matchups that I haven't really been considering. I didn't really realize I could break armor. I didn't really exploit the gaps that the opponent has. I wasn't using a cameo that lets me get away and then lame the opponent out. This, I hope, has given you some insights into where maybe if you work on adjusting your game plan, you are going to have an easier time winning matches.